Hello. So on this course, we will check about the qualification plan. Like what is qualification plan? What are the different setups available while we configure the qualification plan? The qualification plan, the name tells perfectly. That is when the staff gets qualified there. Yeah, that is qualifying happens based on event. So qualification plan is basically an event-driven absence plan. When there is an event happens, that makes them qualified for it, and thus they become the eligible. They get the eligibility for this absence plan. Now, while we configure that qualification plan in our record system, what are the different setups we have, and what exactly it does? With each of it, let's see it. In qualification plan, mostly what are the absences which we cover is the childhood or the parenthood absences, like paternity, extended maternity, unpaid maternity, and then FMLA plans. For USA, we have this FMLA, which is an unpaid maternity and family care leave. So if there is anything, family care, child care leave, all these are configured for a qualification get or even the sick leave, there is an illness because of this falling sick, they would be eligible. So that's an event, they're falling sick or making with an accident. So that's a event again. So all this, having a child, adopting a child, all these are event. And for these events, they need some leaves to be taken from work, which is why we, as a system, we configure qualification plan separately compared to approval plan and other things. Now, let's go to the system. And here, we have listed two fields available in the absence qualification plan while we configure effective date. What is the effective start date of the absence plan that we create? When does this has to get effective now? So we choose a legislation as well. For which legislation? That is adding a security. I'm just restricting it only for if the organization has a multiple legislation, it is operating in multiple places, multiple countries, then I'm restricting that it has to be restricted for this legislation. And after that, restricting also, I can choose LDG, legislative data group. A particular country or legislation can have a multiple legislative data groups. So that also I choose so that that is an extra layer of security I'm adding, saying that only this legislative data group should be eligible for this qualification. So usually absence plan will be filtered by LDGs itself, so you can create an absence plan based on the LDGs itself. Okay, now then you have got a unit of measure like we get for other absence plans as well. Like we choose on what level it has to calculate the units. Or is it on the hours, daily, monthly, yearly? How do we want to calculate the absences? Conversion formula, if you want to convert your unit of measures to, if you're configured as hours, if you want to convert that, you can use a conversion formula. For this, you have to configure the fast formula, which is an absence duration rule. And the plan term. And here the plan term is quite important. We have had a separate session for the plan term itself. We have four plan terms in this qualification, which is absence duration, calendar year, roll back forward, and roll back backward. And then participation tab, you get all the enrollment details and eligibility. And the entitlements tab, you get to provide a qualification, the details, the band, what we wanted to configure. And in the last tab, which is entries and balances, we will be configuring the rate and the payment rate. So let's get into the system. Let's go to the absence. We will configure one of the qualification plan. So I'll click on absence plan and update. Your effective start date when should this get effective from this absence plan? So I'll create it as 1951 and just keep legislation as US. And then I will create this as a qualification. I click on continue. So now for here, first thing I have to give as a name for the absence plan that I'm going to create. I just have it as an FMLA plan. It's a US category. And I will have to figure out the description. It's a family care, a family maternity leave. Or I'll keep it as days. So this alternative schedule category, here if they have a schedule, work schedule attached, if a staff has a work schedule, most of the work schedule would be work. We can also create a work schedule with a pager and assign it as a, secondary work schedule because it means that the person is currently actively working, but then he doesn't have anything to work. So in such cases, we use a pager. If I do this, even if this primary schedule is a work schedule, it still gets overridden and then it will choose the pager. So based on the pager schedule, the absence gets written. And here we have enable concurrent entitlement. First, I'll choose the legislative data group. I'll set the status as active. If it's only active, then it will be available for the steps. If enable concurrent entitlement, if I click on checkbox, the help box, this is the help box that we are seeing, the prompt. It says provide entitlement along with other plans simultaneously during absence period. And let's say your organization is providing for maternity leave, and your organization contributes 40% of the entitlement, the payment. Whereas the other 60% is being contributed from the government. In such case, what we could do is we could create two absence plans for maternity, one for the government payment and the other one for the organization payment. And if I check the enable concurrent, if both these plans are attached to the same absence type, then the staff would get the 100% payment because of this combination. But still, the payment is getting divided. How the payment is being given by the government, how the payment tax deduction, everything is given by the organization, it is all configured separately. But for the same absence period, they get the payment from both the absence plans. So, which is why we set up as enable concurrent entitlement. And plan term condition, the processing level assignment means this is the level at which we are defining this assignment. We won't be able to change this. This is just for our information. Conversion formula, if it is required to convert this unit of measure, we can attach it. And the type we have is these four. Absence duration if I pick, which means that the planned term would be the absence duration. Whatever the absence duration the staff gives, that would be the planned term. So single plan. And if an employee again applies for a different batch of leave application, that would be a separate planned term. So that is going to be the absence duration. Calendar year is nothing but we have a calendar year from 1st Jan until like if I give this like what we have for fuel plan, I can give a start date. So from when the it should start the calendar year, which year? This year it will start from 1st Jan or whichever month I would want. From then the period would continue for 1 year if I select it as calendar year. So in 1 year, if an employee is applying leave and they're qualified now, uh, they have to apply within their entitlements. Like let's say they have 20 days of entitlement. In a year, they can only apply 20 days and that would be a full percentage. If they apply extra, that would be a unpaid leave. So if I select a rolling backward, which means that the start date, whenever the start date, from that date, it tracks back and looks for the past dates for duration review. If I say it as 6 months, duration of this is months, then it will track back and see for 6 months and see if there are any absences. If there is any, then it will sum up the duration. If it is exceeding the maximum entitlement of uh, absence, then it will be considered as an unpaid leave, whatever the absence is. And if it is if there are no absences in the past, then that would be paid absences. So here overlap rule, it says that split, exclude, and include. If there is any overlap, that means I have applied for 6 months, I've considered in the last 6 months, the entitlement for this absence, I'll give it as 20 days. But I have already applied 10 days in the past 6 months. Now I'm applying again. Okay. The past 6 months, if the date, let's say now I have started the absence start date as 1st July. So it will check in the past 6 months. But there is an absence which is recorded from 25th of December 2024 until 5th of Jan 2025. So 5 absence is coming in the last year, okay, which is exceeding this 6 months bandwidth that we have designed. So which means that 5 days would be split. That would be a different term. And the other 5 days would be falling in this term. So it will only consider the 5 days if I make it as split. If I say include, that other 5 days, which is falling in 2024, also will be included. And it will consider 10 days as the absence, which is in total. If I say exclude, which means whichever is overlapping, if it's spanning between two terms, then that gets excluded, even though that dates fall in this term. So that's what this overlap rule is on. Okay. Now worker balance display. So when the person is qualified, should the entitlement be displayed for them? Or if they start to use, that be displayed then? Or if you don't want to display at all, the same option is available for manager and worker. The always display means even let's say for this year they were qualified for a maternity, this leave, and it was available for a display in the absence records. But after they lost the eligibility, also it is still displayed. So that's what always display is. Let's go to the next tab. Qualification date rule. It acts more like an enrollment start date rule for accrual plan we have, right? When does this enrollment has to start from? When does this qualification has to start? Should it start based on the absence start date, child birth date, or formula? We can give a formula as well. Here, if you see, there's one more thing called as entitlement start date. So it's like if I have to explain this with an example, if you are qualified for a scholarship, from the day you are qualified, that would be the qualification date. From the time you start to get your scholarship, that would be your entitlement. When we start using this entitlement, qualification entitlement, that's the entitlement start date. So I could either give it as absence start date or qualification date, or like the other cases, qualification date rule also can say from the date absence start date would start, I would start my qualification also. So usually it depends on the plan term you choose also. If the plan term is absence duration of the calendar year, you could have it as a start date. You could have the other options also. But usually this would go alongside the absence duration and calendar year. Okay, so now I'll just give it as date of childbirth. That means the child birth date. That would be the qualifications. That is the enrollment start date. So if I choose a formula, right, whatever the enrollment start date formula you have defined, that would come here. So it is global absence enrollment start date. Whereas for this, it's global absence enrollment entitlement standing. We have an entitlement end date here. So this is global absence entitlement end date. When do you want this to be ended? As of event means when they lost the eligibility, that's when they get the entitlement ended. Or if you want to define the formula, you could consider the formula as well. Or after the termination, until termination, once they're qualified, until the termination, they're eligible. If you want to configure that way also, we can select it. So here, if I choose formula, I would get the option to select the formula. Evaluate remaining entitlement without absence record. Uh, like so if I choose this, it enables here the help text itself is saying it enables that HR would be able to view this under qualification plan. If the worker has no absence record also, the details, everything would be available. So if I usually we have this checked so that what is the plan use, when does it start, and how many they have consumed, every details will be available if I check this. Okay. If I don't want this to be available for HR to view, then I can have this disabled. Now, if I can select the eligibility profiles, this is similar to what we did for the other absence plan and types, and just give it as test for now. Okay. Now, entitlement definition type, similar to what we have for accrual. Here also we have a matrix and formula. If I select it as a formula, everything could be defined in the formula itself. If I here mostly if you select formula, like you say what based on what band, what is the payment percentage, everything would be covered there itself. If I select it as a matrix, I would be able to select the band here based on what band, what is the percentage of payment percentage, non-payment percentage, everything it will be defined here. So here the disabled payment percentage override, which means that I have set some payment percentage here, right? Uh, can that be overridden by HR manually? If it is enabled, then you are not letting the HR to override this payment percentage. If you keep it unchecked, then HR could manually do the overriding the payment percentage. Okay, so this one is absent start date. Now qualification band matrix and leave a sequence. And here the expression, let's say a person having a length of service. I will use the derived factor. And so let's use, okay, we have this less than or equal to. I will select this. So if this is a derived factor, I should first insert it. So I'm going to now click on, okay, this is the expression I'm saying. If the length of service, this is the derived factor which should be defined in the derived factor, after which I should be able to select it. So if the length of service is less than 5, then I say full pay duration would be for 60 days, payment percentage is 100. And if you want to choose a formula, it's all if you choose it for defining this entitlement. I'll say the first sequence is this. Second, when they apply more days, let's say half pay. Duration would be for 30 days. Payment percentage is 50. And then second goes. And then, so after this, if they exhaust this, then it is no pay. Okay. Now I'll again say for the length of service who has more than 5 years service. So this is less than 5. Let's choose greater than 5 years. That option. This will be there. Greater than Now I will insert this into expression. Let's see if there's a booklet. Full pay duration of the fee for greater than service. I'll give the duration little more, which would be like 90 days. Payment percentage is 100. And then I'll give the second sequence with half pay. Payment duration would be for the 40 days. It's little more because they have got more Europe service. And then I'll say 50 savings. That was about how we define the entitlement for the qualification. If I come to entries and balances, it says what is the rate definition, like the rate at which the person has to be paid. This rate definition, we'll take it in another session. It needs to be discussed in detail. We have to, if it has to be chosen from formula, it can do, or if the rate definition is defined, we will be able to use that. And as well, if I want those details to be integrated to the payment payroll module, I would have to check this and then choose a element. All right. So now if I click on saving, oops. That was about how we can configure the qualification plan and the different setups available. We will meet again in another session. Until then, thank you.